And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the Zoom recording and facility, you might want to look for a button that says Gallery View, and therefore you can see both JP and myself. Otherwise, it'll switch back and forth, but it is your personal preference. So it is my great pleasure, along with Dinah Hunter and Gary Knapp, who you've just seen, to host this Saturday morning training for Australasia. We've been doing it weekly now for probably over 15 years. And while, yes, we get a lot of gratitude and appreciation from the community, it's also a very selfish move on our part. Keeps us connected and educated and inspired. And, you know, there's nothing greater than an aligned community working for such a great mission. And the mission of Manatech is unbelievable. Whether, you know, you're joining us for, obviously today we're looking at all about income, but we wouldn't be earning income from Manatech if we didn't have such incredible technology. And that kind of technology and opportunity attracts incredible people. We're really thrilled to announce that JP is touring Australasia, and he's here on our Saturday morning call before any training. So the first training is today in Brisbane, which I'll be racing out the door to as soon as we're complete this call. So he's going to be outlining in his tour. We're just going to snapshot today, but this is a fairly long training today where he'll be able to be quite hands-on with the Australasian community. But he's going to be talking about how he built his successful Manatech business, sharing some of his exclusive tips to achieving our goals, using key activities and strategies, and revealing how he's overcome challenges in his business journey, how he uses the business development bonus effectively in his business. And so really, you know, well, I titled this Success Leaves Clues. You know, JP, I've had the privilege of hosting on this call before. You're such a humble and professional young man. We're very privileged to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be on the call. I was initially quite worried I won't make the call because about 2 evenings ago, because of the jet lag, I only woke up at like 9 o'clock the next morning. But I set my alarm, and luckily I was up at 6 o'clock this morning, so I could go for a run. And yeah, looking forward to the call this morning, and well done for being on the call. And I think Sharon, I mean, you running this call for the last 15 years, I think that's just an amazing level of consistency, because a lot of people sort of would do these sort of calls for a month or maybe even for a year, but I mean, to do it for 15 years is really it's really, really amazing. So well done for that, with just keeping consistent and allowing your group to have a platform where they can all log in and plug in and just be part of the whole, you know, the greater community.
Well, I mean, it really was selfish. You know, at the very beginning we started because I didn't have a client nearby, and nor that really was into the business. So we utilized all the US calls at that time with, you know, Kevin Robbins and Tim Altvader. And we thought, Australasia needs this too. And so we've done that for our greater community. It's cross-line, everybody's welcome. And they add a lot to what we experience here on Saturday as well. But we do have a lot of brand new people, which is good news, JP. And let's go back to the beginning. How were you introduced to Manatech? Was it something that you were looking for, or was it a surprise to you? Did you go in boots and all, or kicking and screaming?
Oh, that's a great question. So for me, I think I was looking for something. At that stage, I was 22 years old when I first got introduced to network marketing, at least to Manatech. And I think for me, it's always very important to obviously share that, you know, the personal relationship you've got with someone is very, very important, because I don't believe I would have got involved in Manatech if it wasn't, you know, because of two of my best friends getting involved. So, you know, we always got to remember that, you know, our business is all about building relationships with people and building that trust. And so for me, actually, I got invited to a presentation. I had no idea what it was all about. My two friends had already got involved and signed up. And I must say, after the first presentation, I was a bit skeptical, but I guess for me, it was sort of that FOMO, that fear of missing out. And at that stage, you know, I mean, some of you might remember, but I think it was $1,100 to sign up. US dollars back then, back in 2008. And I literally put my entire life savings into it. I didn't even have a credit card at that stage. I used my mother's credit card. I then signed her up as an all-star as well. And So yeah, I mean, I think one of the advantages that we have today is that, or sorry, had back then, was that it wasn't just, you know, $50 to sign up or $60. I mean, it was it was $1,000. So your work ethic, and, you know, really your or at least just to share with all of you, I think because it's so cheap today to start, it's quite easy to give up because people are not putting that much into it. Where I think back then it was, because it was such a large sum of money, you know, you wouldn't just quit when 2 people said no, or they're not interested, or, you know, after a month, if you haven't made your money back, you were willing to sort of work a little bit harder because you had more to lose, if I can put it that way. So yeah, I went to that first presentation with my friend. I eventually decided to sign up, and I think for me, I never expected, you know, this to become the business it has today. I mean, I didn't even, you know, think about becoming a platinum. I didn't even think about, you know, going presidential. I think for me in the beginning, it was just about making my money back. And that was by, you know, signing up 2 people, helping them each find their 2 people. I'd make my money back. And yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful, you know, that I said yes back then. You know, just looking back on over the last 10 years, it's changed my life in so many ways. And it obviously, like, as you mentioned earlier, it's not always been easy. There's been obviously many challenging times as well. You know, I remember when I first started, you know, a lot of people said you're too young. You know, people, you know, you should finish your degree. You should, you know, it was all this, you know, sort of all this negative thinking and limiting beliefs. And for me, I think what I loved about Manatech is that I believe, you know, I really believed in the product. I love the concept of being able to work for yourself, being able to travel all over the world and build your business. But back then it was just about, you know, let me make my money back. And I think, you know, just to share with what you were sharing earlier is that I think very often people can get very lost in the whole thing of casting this massive vision, you know, of, I want to become a platinum, I want to earn this sort of income. It's for me, it's always been about the little basic steps that you want to take along the way, you know, and it can be overwhelming for new people when they first sign up with Manatech, you know, and there's so much to it. There's all these products, and there's the science, and there's the, you know, there's platinum presidential. What does that even mean? And presidential and executive director. I think for me, the most important thing with new people is just to really give them the assignments of what's the next step for them to do. You know, it might be, you know, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to help you get your team 2 bonus or your team 4 bonus. We're going to get you to director, because it's quite a lot to take in for people the first time that they're exposed to Manatech, specifically Manatech, because, you know, we're not like any other network marketing company. We're very, very much a product-based company. It's not just about making money. It's really about making a massive impact in other people's lives.
Absolutely. And so, JP, you spoke about challenges. So most people, I think it's human nature, and it's understandable that people look at somebody else, and we sort of have a human habit of comparing ourselves, and they look at someone successful and think you must have had it easy, or a rocket ride to the top. I mean, my experience in all these years in Manatech is that's never true. What was your experience? Did you have road bumps? And what do you do, and what do you help others to do at times when they're feeling like they have come up against, you know, some doubt or all the various things that come in our way when we're achieving big goals?
You know, it's a great question, Sharon. So for me, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, there's going to be, you know, there's going to be challenges. I mean, you know, just working a regular job for 40 years, there's going to be challenges. Being married is a challenge. Having kids can be challenging. I mean, so everything in life is going to be challenging. So whether you do network marketing, or whether you do, you know, the 40-40-40 plan of working for 40 years, for 40 hours a week, and hoping to retire on 40%, it's going to be hard. Life is hard. It's not going to be easy. So I think once we can just, you know, marry the process that whatever we do out there is going to be challenging and going to be tough, I think it does make it a little bit easier. Because very often, you know, for me at least, the biggest thing that people face in our industry is really is the rejection. I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. They take it very, very personally, and that's probably what blows most people out is the rejection, that they take it personally. So I think for me, it's always an important thing to be working on your personal attitude, because, you know, you can, you know, if you can control your attitude, I mean, you can control your activity. And I think, so, you know, it's, you know, you know, just to share with you a little bit of my story, you know, when I signed up with Manatech, my It took me about 3 months to get to director level, which is which would have been regional director back then, 1,500 points. And then it took me about probably 5 or 6 months to get to national director, that being executive director today, which would be 6,000 points. And I went gold executive director probably 3 months after that. And a lot of that's sort of where I started getting my momentum, because I'd sort of at that stage, probably because I didn't know any better, I was sponsoring up just by my excitement. You know, I made up in numbers what I lacked in experience. So I'd gotten a few really key people involved in that time. And I think it was because I was excited. I think all of us on the call this evening, if you look back in your Manatech journey, you'll find that you signed up the most people when you knew the least. You know, when you just sign up with Manatech and you're excited about the product, you don't even know how the products work, you don't even know how the compensation plan works. That's when you build your business the fastest. And I think, you know, 90% of our business is all about being excited and you know, and just keeping that excitement. So it was probably about 3 months later where I went gold executive director. And I remember going to Manifest back in 2009, which would have been in April, maybe just before April, around April 2009. And for me, that was a defining moment, because I got to see the bigger picture. I got to, you know, see the labs, you know, see where they make the products, get to meet all the other associates, get to see the bigger vision of the company. And, you know, that's where I made a decision. And I literally, like when I got back from Dallas, I made a decision. I made a new names list. I went out like guns blazing, and it was, yeah, and I qualified at presidential my 11th month in the business back at 60,000 points. And life was just amazing. You know, I didn't even know how I did it, to be honest with you. But I always would say that I think to gain any type of momentum in your business, you're probably going to have to bring on between 30 and 40 people within a year's time. I mean, you can't be signing up one person a month for 12 months thinking you're going to go presidential. It's going to take a massive effort, you know, burst of energy for a short period of time to get that momentum going. And I had become presidential, and I had one of my leaders that I'd brought on board, which was growing very, very quickly. So I thought, well, bronze is going to be easy. I mean, I had another group at 40,000 points, and I'm going to be silver within the second year. And then life happened, and the wheels just came off. I had one of my leaders that, you know, that some complications, but I literally saw one of my legs, you know, go from like, you know, 50,000 points, almost 60,000 points down to 50, 40, 30, 20. And I think for me, it's sort of, then you start questioning yourself and you start thinking, was I lucky? Was it just like a lucky break that I got? And, you know, we've just recently come back from our incentive in Sicily. And one of my leaders, you know, came to me after one of the talks I did, and she said she was so inspired because I sort of shared my journey over the last 11 years. You know, it took me another 2 years from presidential to finally go bronze presidential. So I'd been in Manatech for 3 years then. It took me another probably 4 years to get to silver presidential. And so it took me in total like 8 years, like seven years to get to silver. It took me 1 year to get to presidential, but probably another 5 to 6 years to get to silver. And yeah, then went gold presidential about 3 years ago, and went platinum about, you know, 2 years ago, so a year and a half ago. So the reason why I share that with everyone is because very often we completely overestimate where we can be in 1 year and 2 years, and completely underestimate where we can be in 10 years. And that's something for me, you know, you might ask yourself, well, how did that happen? Well, for me, it's been consistency. I've been, you know, my wife was sharing, you know, on the incentive, you know, a lot of people were asking her when we were sharing on stage, you know, what does she believe is one of the reasons for our success? And she's just said, you know, I've always been consistent. I've always been signing up new people. I've always been excited about the opportunity. I've always believed that this can work. I mean, I've faced what a lot of you guys have faced. I've lost leaders. I had one of my groups, about 3 years ago, there was a network marketing company that came to South Africa. I saw one of my groups go from 170,000 points, 180,000 points, down to 40,000 points. I lost 140,000 points within a year. Like, I mean, Luciano Fidalgo phoned me from America. He said he's never seen something like this, how you can lose points so quickly in one of my groups. And I said to him, Luciano, it just goes to show when people start doing their own thing, when they're not plugging in, if they're not in alignment, if they're not in unity, you can lose massive groups. But for me, I realized that, you know, I can either get upset about this, or I can just carry on building and doing what I did best. And that's just to carry on working with new people. And it's needless to say that, you know, the last, my business, you know, well, our business, my wife and I we're obviously a team, but the last 2 years, our business has more than doubled. You know, we've grown from around, you know, 280,000 points to over 560,000 points within the last sort of year and a half. Yeah. So not 2 years, probably a year and a half. So we've doubled our business in the last year, but that's been because we've always been working on the fringes, working with new people. You know, you got to forget about all the things that are going wrong and just focus on what's going right. So, you know, that's something that unfortunately, all of us have to make peace with, is that people are going to come and people are going to go. And, you know, the important thing for you is to decide, are you going to stay? Because, you know, once you solidify yourself and plant yourself in that this is what you want to do, it's amazing. Life has got an amazing way, or God's got an amazing way of making things happen in your life and sending the right people along your path. Because wherever there's someone that's got a vision and they know that they're going to be doing this long term, there's massive blessings that follow with that, you know. So you've got to decide that if this is the vehicle for you, then stick with it and actually go to work with it, because you can. And I've seen this so often. I've seen people change the company. I've seen people think it's going to be better with this company because they've got a better compensation plan, or they think this company's got a better product. And it's got nothing to do with the company or the product or the compensation plan. It's all got to do with your mindset, because unfortunately you take the same mindset no matter which company you're with. So, sorry, I've just been rambling, but
No.
yeah, I hope that, you know, I've answered what you were asking.
Yeah, no, those are critical points for success, aren't they? And so, you know, in losing 180,000 overnight almost, or very quickly, did you have times where you had doubts, and how do you recover yourself?
Sure, that was really, really, really challenging, because the group it was a very young group, and you know, my wife and I were very, very close to a lot of the leaders in that group. So it was very, very challenging, because when they started doing their own thing, I made a decision back then that we're going to support the South African team. We're going to stick in unity. And this group specifically wanted to start doing their own meetings. They wanted to do their own trainings. They wanted to do just completely, you know, sort of unplug themselves from the rest of the group. And I think for me, I had to make a decision. You know, am I going to support my downline, or am I going to follow upline? And what I've always realized is, whatever you do to your upline, your downline will do to you. So, because you in fact give them permission to do the same thing to you. So I decided at that stage, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to stick upline, and the people that want to follow me can follow me. And if the rest of the group that want to do their own thing, they can go and do their own thing. But I'm going to show them that I'm going to be in unity with the rest of South Africa, because, you know, in unity, that's where there's massive success, because, you know, people get to hear the other success stories. They see it's a bigger group than just you and me. There's other people involved in this as well. And so that was very, very challenging for me, because these are people that we've been spending every single weekend with. We built, like, you know, spent 2, 3 years, 4 years forging very, very strong relationships. And I think it's just sort of, for me, I've always been someone that's I'm not sort of half measures. I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. So I sort of just broke away from that group and sort of cut my communication, and sort of saw which leaders in there were reaching out to me, and I sort of carried on working with them. And but yeah, it was very, very challenging. I think, you know, I'd be close to, you know, 800, 900,000 PV if I didn't lose those legs, because it didn't just affect one group, it affected another group as well. So I would say in total that probably cost me around 300,000 points, 250, 300,000 points. So, you know, when I'm sharing with all of you, it's not because I'm just sharing, because I'm thumb sucking. What I know what it's like. I know when there's not unity and there's unresolved issues, and conflict, if you don't resolve the conflict, it can be massive detrimental effects, not just to me, but also I look in that whole group, all the people that had massive dreams with Manatech, they were making a massive impact to, you know, in other people's lives with the product, that aren't around anymore because someone derailed them, you know, because of not having a clear vision. So how do I deal with those things? I think you do take a lot of it on yourself, and you think I could have been a better leader, you know. But I think sometimes also it's important for all of us, you know, just to sometimes forgive ourselves, you know, that we do make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in that group. I became too close. I've learned from it, you know, and I think always just to reach upline, you know, I think always to always be sending positive downline and taking all your negative challenges you've got upline, and just at that stage, just, you know, working hard on myself and just being there for the people that are still around. You know, you can live your whole life thinking about what if this person was still in my business, or if this person was still doing it. That's unfortunately how life works. You know, you got to forget about everything that's happened and let's focus on who is excited now about it, who's excited in fact today about it and this week about it, you can go and work with, and forget about the people that were excited about it 5 years ago, because they're not coming back. I mean, I was sharing with Jenny Messenger last night about this whole, what we call the Lazarus deal, you know, like a lot of people trying to raise Lazarus from the dead instead of just focusing on new people. So yeah, it's very, very challenging. When you're going through those difficult times, I think it's just important to go back to your dream and why you started this, and don't let small things cheat you out of big opportunities. You know, all of us on this call, we're still going to lose leaders, but we're also going to gain a lot of leaders. And I think you've got a better chance of attracting the right leaders, being excited and being positive, than you are going to be whimpering about, you know, the past and the people that aren't around anymore. Because the reality is, Sharon, you and I are still here. I can see, you know, we still here. Gary's still here. I mean, I'm still going to be here for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, however long Manatech say that's what I want to be doing. And I think if you sort of sitting on the fence, it's very, very difficult to attract those big leaders into your organization, because people are never going to follow someone that's flaky. People want to know that you're going to be around here for the long term.
That's really well said, because I think when people sitting here listening to you, I would bet, I mean, I know I can put my hand up for that most of us will have had challenges and thought it's only us. You know, this is because of me, and the truth is, and I can totally identify with you. On the other side of it, you've learned a lot, and that's really important. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, JP, is that, you know, obviously you're a superstar and you're a very humble and authentic young man, that's quite rare in youth. Usually that doesn't come till later. In that, you know, group of 560,000 points, there's going to be some people whose only goal is for, say, $1,000 a month, or, you know, who don't have the big dream, but who are participating to their level of desire and activity and goals. They're pretty valuable too in the course of the greater team, aren't they? It's about the community and the culture.
Yeah, well, I mean, so if you haven't got people making $500 a month or $1,000 extra a month, you've got no one earning $40,000 a month or $20,000 or 10 or even 5. So we must never underestimate how valuable those people are along the way, that are your people that, you know, are doing this because they're doing it to earn an extra $500 a month. So I think it's important that you value everybody. And I mean, lots of little checks allow the big checks to happen. So, and very few people are going to sign up with this, and, you know, within the first, you know, say to you, you know, I want to earn this sort of income by the first year. A lot of people are doing this because they want to earn an extra $500 a month. And when they get to the $500 a month, they might then realize, oh, wow, what happens if I could earn an extra $500 a week? And then eventually that $500 a week could become $500 a day. But for me, I started with Manatech because I wanted to earn an extra 5,000 Rand a month, which would be like $500 to $1,000 a month today. So, so don't underestimate, you know, the little checks that people earn. But I think it's just very important that you spend your time wherever you are celebrated in your organization, because very often what I see happens is that people spend 90% of their time with, you know, the 90% of the people that aren't even going to get to $500 a month, because, you know, they're not putting in the activity, they're not showing up, they're sort of doing it because of sort of with a lottery mentality. They're hoping to get lucky and sign a few people up and they're going to make a lot of money. I think I've always had a philosophy of, you know, you're always looking for the high impact, low maintenance people, not high maintenance, low impact. So when you're scanning through your organization, rather be looking at people that are self-starters, and rather be guiding people along the way to what the next steps are for them. And if they're not showing up, then they're giving you the answer. I think, you know, very often we're trying to drag people to the next level. And the best thing you can do is be an example to your group. So you know, make sure that you always, you know, if you're expecting your group to be signing people up, always be making sure you're signing up the most people, that you are reading the most books, that you're working harder on yourself and you work on your business. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I've always said to my entire group, you know, love everybody, but lead the 90%, you know, love the 90%, but lead the 10%. So I'm, you know, because I mean, if you think about it, there could be, you know, you might get a stage. I mean, we've had months this year where we've had, you know, 1,000 people join, 1,500 people. 1 month we had 1,800 new associates and customer signups in 1 month. I can't work with that amount of people. In fact, I don't want to work with everybody. I only want to work with a select few and teach and train those leaders how to go out there and go and do the basics of what I've done. But the most important thing that you can do for your business is, and even if you're on the call this evening, is don't expect your upline or your downline or your cross-line or corporate to do it for you. You be the one that goes out there and goes and shows the plans and goes and starts your presentations. In fact, when I signed up with Manatech, I was not even a director at that stage, and there was no meeting taking place in Cape Town. The meeting was in Somerset West, which was a 45-minute drive from where I lived in Cape Town, and no one was building the business in Cape Town. So even as a director, I organized my own conference venue. I started doing my presentations every 2 weeks. I started inviting some of my friends. I got my upline to also plug in and invite some people so we could start getting something going. So take initiative. You know, don't wait for someone else to do it for you, because otherwise, unfortunately, you're going to end up waiting your whole life for it to happen for you. So I think just take responsibility. Don't go out there. Just figure out why you want to do it. Because my upline, in fact, well, the upline I probably work with the closest, he's above me in the structure, but he's a bronze presidential. So of course, I've got a much bigger organization than he does. But I'm so grateful that he's in my upline, because he's 30 years older than me. But it's been great because he's been in this industry for a very, very long time. So I've been able to learn a lot from him, because he'd been in the industry for years and years and years, and learned a lot from, just with conflict resolution and leadership. And so sometimes, just chatting to Silwyn, who's my upline bronze presidential, someone said to me, Silwyn, why is this person not getting going? And, why is this person, not at the training? And why is this person not? And he always comes back to that, that you got to really figure out, what does someone want from this? Because if someone wants to buy a washing machine, then there's probably no need to be at the training. There's no need to be on the webinar or the Saturday morning call. But if someone's doing this because they want to change their life, it's probably very, very important that when you're signing that person up, is you take them by the hand and you got to let them know exactly what is expected if this is what they want. Because if they do want to earn an extra $500 a week, there's going to be certain requirements that you got to do to earn that, because no one's paying you $2,000 a month if you don't become worth it. I mean, it's so whatever the goal is, I think very often we so focus on ourselves and what we want out of it. And we really sometimes need to go back, and when we're sitting down with someone and saying, listen, what do you really want out of this? How much would you like to earn? What are you willing to give up to earn that? I mean, how much time can you invest in this? Because unfortunately, a lot of us miss that in the beginning when we're getting someone started, is because we never ask the right, sorry, someone's saying I must sit back and see if this works. Sorry. My desk in the room here is on the wrong side of the room. So that's
so
why.
Maybe you could try turning your computer so you're facing the light a little bit.
Okay. Is this better?
That's better. Yep.
Okay. So I'm sitting it towards the side. So, sorry, I was just doing it in the dark so all of you could rather come to the presentation so you can at least see what I look like.
Surprise, surprise.
So, so I think it's very important with new people when you're getting them signed up, is you really just have to identify what do they really want from this. Because, I mean, let's face the fact, most people sign up with Manatech because of the product. I mean, most people aren't getting started with Manatech because they're seeing this as an opportunity where they can really change their financial future. So I think just identifying in the beginning what does someone want from this.
Keep watching the comments; they're quite good.
I haven't actually looked at the comments.
So how do you get these new people started? So obviously you gave us a snapshot there, asking them, finding out what they're wanting to achieve and what they're willing to give up or do. What else do you do for your new people?
So I think with when I sign a new person up, I like to work with them individually, and I always feel the best way is to use practical examples. So my newest leader I'm working with right now. So I got referred to her by my chiropractor. She was not even for Manatech, just because as a patient, she's a kinesiologist. And, and for me, it's always been about building the relationship. I think very often, it's almost very often we're so excited about Manatech, we try and ramble and really just, try and sell people on the first opportunity we get to share with them, when they're asking us what we do. So I think for me, it's always important just to build a relationship with someone, and then just looking for, cues that they give you along the way where you find there might be a need for the product or for the opportunity. But I mean, that was literally building a relationship with her. And probably the second or third time I said to Gabby, I'm not sure if you'll be open or not, but I really think you should have a look at what I'm doing with the company I'm involved in. I think you can do unbelievably well. It's right down, you're obviously excited about, health and wellness. And I'd love to leave some information with you and get you to work through that. And so she worked through it. And eventually she said, listen, I definitely want the product for my family. So I got her signed up. And for me, what I then like to do is I try not to give them too much information, because it can be very overwhelming if you're giving someone 2 CDs to listen to and 2 links to watch. And, so for me with her, it was just meeting up with her and saying, okay, I want you to work through this audio. I want you to have a look at this video. And then what I'm going to do is let's get together and we're going to launch your business, because very often people start their business, they never launch their business. And with her, it was literally her, making sure she makes a list. And I said, listen, who are the first sort of few people you want us to go and talk to about the product and about the business? And then I literally went with her, and went to go and see those people with her. And she signed up probably about 3 months ago, exactly 3 months ago. But on that note, what I also did with her is I very, very quickly got her engaged in the system. I got her onto the webinar that we do on a Tuesday evening. I got into I got her to her first training. I got her to experience Manatech and not just see me and her involved in this, where she could see the greater community, if I can call it that. And and she's, she went director her first month. She went silver director her next month. She's just hit 4,000 points now, and the month is not over. So I know she's working towards executive director. So you need to, very often we don't want to come across too pushy, because we're scared we're gonna lose those people. But I think it's very important that you're very upfront in the beginning, letting people know what's expected, because what I've realized is if you don't let them know what's expected, you're going to lose them in any way. So for me, it's just getting people to have that experience where they see the bigger picture, whether it be a webinar, a product experience, whatever it may be. And it's really just about building the relationship with that person and making them and building the trust. So, yeah, I mean, that's, and even with her new leaders that she's bringing on board, it's for a few things happened, which was quite good, that I was in Europe for the trip of a lifetime, and I was away for a week. So I couldn't help her with her new people. So she had to go and show the plans. She had to go and talk to them about the product. And that's the best way for people to learn, is actually by doing, not by, you can read all the books, you can listen to all the CDs, but if you don't go and apply and actually don't do it in the field, you're not really going to get the success that you anticipate.
Excellent.
Sorry, Sharon, I hope that answered your question. So just to share something on that. So for me, if you're signing someone up, it can be overwhelming if you're saying to someone, I want you to make a list of 500 people that we can talk to about the product or the business. For a new person, it might be a better thing for them to say, listen, who are the 20 best people we can talk to in the next 2 to 4 days about the product, and who are the 20 best people or 10 to 20 best people we can talk to about the business. And let's just talk to those people first, because that's going to be their warm market. And within their warm market, anyone with a little bit of credibility that's been some sort of, that's just got a good relationship with people, they're going to be able to sign up between 4 and 8 people within their warm market, because, I mean, they're going to have their parents or their cousins or their family or their friends that at least be open to having a look at what they're doing. So for me, very, very important when you sign someone up is get them launched. Don't just sign them up and don't give them the next assignment. So it's very important, get them signed up, get them to figure out what they want out of it, get them to make their list. And within the first 2 to 4 days, get them to, go start seeing some people with them. Or if they're long distance, use Zoom. This is a free service that anyone can use. Work with your upline to help you do that. Do a launch webinar where you can get all the people on for the first call that you're doing regarding product or business. So there's many, many ways to do it. I think it's just getting people out of the starting blocks very, very quickly is really, really important, because the first 7 days are very, very important. The first month is very, very important. And if you can't get someone to see something within the first 7 to 30 days, you're probably going to end up losing them long-term as an associate. So I always like to teach that you want to beat the box. So for instance, if someone signs up today, get them to have some sort of experience before their box of products arrive, whether it be you signing someone up into their team, or whether it be you helping them sign up their first associate, because once they've done that, they're in. So yeah, I think just, launching people is really, really important, because we underestimate the value of that, because you can't launch someone 90 days after being into the business. The most valuable time you've got with that person is in the first 7 to 30 days.
Excellent. And so for people that are long distance, obviously you do the same thing with their new people via Zoom or a 3-way call or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because very often you're going to have groups that are living 5 hours away from you, or a new associate you've, signed up in, another country. So what are you going to do? You've got to make sure it's duplicatable, that anyone can do that. So it might be even, another new silver director we've got in one of my other groups, but I'm working with that specific leader, and he was sending her the information, doing the, building a relationship with her. She'd watch the videos, and I just came on for the 3-way call, or with a Zoom call, just to answer any questions, share my story, get her started, to show her that there's not just me and Gary, there's a bigger community than just the 2 or 3 of us. So I think it's very, very important to utilize the technology we've got, because 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you didn't have things like Zoom, or, you might be able to do a 3-way call, but you couldn't literally show a presentation online like what we are doing today.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's really brought another whole personal element to what we do. And there's been a few questions coming in privately to me. What do you, I know, it's never about the pack, but it also is good to give guidance. When you say don't give too much, but you gave her something to work through, what was it that you gave your kinesiologist partner?
So what's very, very important is that, so if I'm reaching out to someone, give the individual maybe 1 or 2 things to have a look at. So for instance, if it's someone that you're prospecting about the business, send them 1 video you want them to have a look at, not 5 videos or 3 videos. So it might be the life on your terms. It might be, find a video that you actually really like. It covers a little bit about the business, but not everything. So the one that we're using at the moment, I think it's called Life on Your Terms. It might be a newer one. I forget the name because it's actually on our group website. But send someone something to review, and so specifically if it's business or opportunity, send them the Life on Your Terms video. So if I was reaching out to you, Sharon, I might say to you, "Hey Sharon, so if I'd already prospected you, then I might say to you, I'm going to send you a quick video. I want you to have a look at when would be the soonest you'd be able to review this by." And just to get that commitment from someone to actually have a look at the video. And once they have a look at the video, then obviously book the follow-up with them. Or in fact, the best time to book the follow-up is actually when you're sending them the video. So I could say, "I'm going to send you the video this morning. Do you mind if I give you a call this afternoon to answer any questions you may have?" And then I could call you this afternoon. And if it sort of seems that you haven't watched the video, then I might say, "Okay, let me rather give you a call tomorrow." And if you've gone through it and I see the business is not for you, then straight away I would then say, "Listen, no problem at all, but why don't you have a look at the product for you and your family?" So I think it's always important to, lead with the business, because if someone is not interested in the business, you can always default on the product. But if you send the product information to someone and someone's not interested in the product, you can't go and talk to them about the business, because why would anyone build a business with a product that they don't like or they're not intrigued with? So I've always tried to look more for business builders, because that's where you can get the momentum in your organization. So just to simplify, so your flow should be, your first message should really be to reach out to someone. So it might be me saying to you, "Hey Sharon, listen, I'm not sure if this is for you or not, but my wife and I have been entrepreneurs in the health and wellness industry for the last 10 years. And we're currently launching a new phase in our business. And I know you and your husband have always been passionate about, the community and making a difference in the community. And, after we just feel this is something you guys could do really, really well at. Would you be open to me sending you some information to have a look at?" So very often in that first initial message is, don't tell people it's Manatech or that they need to what the product's all about. It's just seeing if someone's open to have a look at extra income, opportunity, part-time, residual income. And if someone's open, then they give you permission to then share the information with them. So you also can't just be sending information to loads of people and thinking they're going to review the information if you haven't first got the commitment from them. So so that might be something that we send them on the product. Sorry, on the business. On products, the same. Send them a video, send them an audio link, send them something that they would review. And I think it also comes back to, the question. So if you, for instance, if someone is, which I would do quite often is, if someone's interested, I'd say to them, listen, what do you prefer? Would you prefer to listen to something in the car, or would you prefer me to send you something you can watch, at home? Because very often, if someone's, if the person you're sending the video to is a single mom, she hasn't got time to sit in front of a computer and watch a video for 45 minutes in the evening when she gets home, but she might have time on her way to work to actually listen to something in her car. So, so questions are always the answers. You're always trying to figure out what does someone actually want from it, so you can send them the right information. I hope that answers it. But I mean, it's going to be different for every single person. So for me, the most important is to be consistently connecting with someone and get them to review a piece, whether it be audio, it might be a booklet, it might be a video, but just get them to review something. And then it gives you the opportunity, if they're interested, for you to then sort of point them in the right direction.
Excellent. Excellent. And how do you show the plan? Do you still do the napkin?
I've got a PowerPoint presentation that I do. If it's a Zoom call, I think it's easier to do it on PowerPoint. But if I am sitting with someone, I've always preferred to show them the plan. In fact, I can actually show you something. So I've also, for instance, had this made for my group, which actually runs you through the whole compensation plan on a A4. So this is also, I just got a graphic designer do this for me. So you can sort of see, so I cover, the ideal business model, the wellness industry, Manatech when it was founded, the patents, the science, the 90-day money back guarantee, then where the money comes from, then how the compensation plan works with, reaching 500 PV, then helping 2 people do the same, and then 4 people, what sort of your income can be. And then I sort of just, I mean, it's just something basic, but it's for our business is all about duplication. So most people don't show the plan or do the napkin plan because they're scared they're going to make mistakes, or they might not be able to do it as well as I can do it, or you can do it. So it's important to have something that people can feel comfortable going out there and doing. And, something else that I also feel can help a lot is that I think gone are the days of you having to do as a leader 20 three-way calls in one day, or 10 three-way calls in one day with your new person. I think it's almost better just to get a really well done PowerPoint presentation where you speak through the whole compensation plan and the product, or perhaps one for product and one for business. And then when you've got people that are interested, is refer them to the website, get them to review the information, and then all that you are there to do as the leader is just to really to close or to answer any questions they may have, because that is something that's duplicatable, because anyone can send someone to a website. I mean, you don't even have to be, you don't have to be smart or anything. Anyone can send someone to a website. So I think make it duplicatable, so perhaps have a website for your group for product, have one for business. At least that's what we've got. And the whole field is all referring people to that one website. And once people have gone through the information, then you just answer any questions they may have. So if someone asks me something about the product, then I say to them, listen, have you been to this website? That's right. That explains to you what Ambrita is all about. And so don't answer any questions where they can actually get the information from the website, because otherwise you're really creating a needy mentality where people are reaching out to you all the time. And it's fine if you only got a group of 4, 5, 6 people, but what are you going to do if you've got a group of 600 or 6,000 people? You can't do that anymore. So it's very important to keep it simple and keep it duplicatable.
I am so glad to hear you say that. That's just so practical, because if people are frightened, they're not going to move forward typically. If you make it easy for anyone to do it and they can just watch you a few times, then copy it, then they'll take off. The ones who are ready to go will take off on their own. That's, I'm just looking at my notes because I keep writing down things that I think of. Oh, again, so there'll be people on this call this morning, JP. I want to finish with just anything that you might be talking about today that the people that aren't near a tourist city will still get some of your content from today. But for the people listening tonight, they might be taking off. As a matter of fact, I know some will immediately take off and model some of what you said. What do you have a format for your Tuesday night weekly leadership type call? Is it, there's certain things that you make sure you do? Is it open? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so we do it on Facebook Live, but you can utilize Zoom as well. So we sort of have different topics we discuss, but I think sometimes we underestimate the value of a personal story, because people's stories is what can touch people emotionally. So we sort of, at the moment, it's very focused on super regionals, because we've got our super regionals with Dr. Nugent in 2 weeks' time. So most of our, at least for the next 2 weeks, those 2 calls are going to be about people that have previously been to super regionals and what that event meant to them. And that's just to really inspire all the people to go and attend, and or remind them why it's important to be at those events. But then we might do, once a month, it might be, me just sharing the opportunity. It might be sometimes we've got one of the I've got quite a few medical doctors in my group, and homeopaths, naturopaths, but, so getting one of the doctors to do a talk on the product where all the prospects will all invite, and it doesn't have to be a doctor. In fact, to be honest with you, sometimes it's almost, doctors build it slower than what, I've probably got 5 or 6 medical doctors in my group, and I've got leaders with not even with a degree that have got way bigger businesses because they're more duplicatable. So, but it's nice to, just to perhaps do a product talk once a month where all your associates can invite the new customers onto that talk, where you maybe in 30 minutes, you cover the product and answer any questions that people may have. Perhaps once a month, do a more of a business talk, and obviously have them recorded, because what you can then do is if you're doing it on Zoom, you can then put it onto your Facebook group, if you've got a Facebook group, and then people can tag people into those groups too. So for instance, if I spoke to Diana or Gary about the amazing products we've got, then I can say to Gary, listen, Gary, I'm going to add, do you mind if I add you to our group? It's called, the Dream Team, or whatever the group might be called. It's called the MIT team, it doesn't matter what the name is, but do you mind if I add you to that group? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag you into a video, and now Gary's automatically in that group. It's almost like you can be dripping on that person, because they're part of the group, so they always see the new post, but then you can tag them into the video, and then they can actually, so I could say something like, hey, Gary, listen, here's that video I spoke to you about what the products can do, which covers, which one of our leaders do on the product. I thought you may enjoy it. Or if it's business, it's the same thing. If you've got this group that you're building, you can tag people into, and you and your whole group can all tag people into those videos. So it's really about creating a resource library where some talks are going to be incredible, some talks aren't going to be that great, but you're building the library so the ones that really are great, you can, on product or on business or on just a personal story, you can end up tagging those people at a later stage into those videos. And that's something that's also very, very nice, because it comes back to this thing of third-party validation, is that very often people don't hear it from me. I've got this even with my own family. It's sometimes they hear it better from people that are in my Manatech team than what they do from me, because they know me too well, because they trust me, but don't always, there's not that, you're too familiar, if I can call it that way. So that's a great resource. So I would say, and then getting people to share their personal stories. It's, I remember that 4 or 5 days ago, I was asking someone, I said to them, how are you? And they said, no, I'm doing fine. I said, no, but how are you really? And she said, no, fine. I said, no, like, I'm serious. How are you? And it's amazing this person got all emotional, because very often we don't tell people how we really are. We don't show our vulnerability. And if you look at any of Brene Brown's books, it's all about showing vulnerability, because you can never really connect with someone unless you show them vulnerability. So why the stories are important is, and what I definitely would recommend is perhaps once a month on a call, have someone share their story. Have someone share their story. Where do you come from? How did you grow up? What did your parents do? How did you get introduced to Manatech? Because that touches people's heart, because that's effectively what keeps people in. People don't stay. People don't. I've seen people in Manatech walk away from a 6-figure income because of ego and things like that. But where they end up being terminated or whatever it may be. But I've seen people stay with Manatech because of how this product and how the stories touch people's hearts. So I want to encourage you, is the most powerful thing that you can do is really share your story, because every single one of us in this call, I think there are 47 people on this call here, you've got a unique story. You've got challenges and things you've been through that people need to hear, because all of us have got different challenges we go through. I mean, all of us, you know, or not all of us, but most of us are struggling with the kids, or we've got challenges with our parents, or we've got challenges with our spouse, or we've got challenges with our work, or we've got challenges with our Manatech business. So it's important to share with people the struggles you go through, because very often we only want to share the victories, but we don't realize is that it's the struggles that inspire people to stick along, because they believe that if it can happen for you, it can happen for them. And so I just want to encourage all of you is that, you know, stick around, you know, because if you stick around and you're consistent, you'll be on stage sharing your story, you know, but it's going to really come from a decision. We are all a product of our decisions we make. We are because of the decisions we've made in our past, whether it be your spouse that you married, or the job that you do, or the degree that you have, or even in your Manatech business. Life is all about making decisions. And every day you get to make a decision. You get to decide what you eat. You get to decide if you're going to contact these 2 people today or follow up with them. So I've always said to my group, I said that if you can only master one thing, master the decisions you make. Because that's what's going to ultimately set you up for the next 10 to 20 years is the decisions you make today are really what matter.
That's awesome. And to finish, I wanted to touch on what you wanted to advise us in how to best use the new comp plan, including the business development bonus. So you've integrated the new bonuses that guide people in the right direction in building your business more strongly. What are your recommendations?
I mean, so for me, the first step is when you're signing someone up, is get them to we call it Club 500, but get people to Club 500, or because that's sort of if you look at the compensation plan, the majority of the commissions in the beginning come from team 2 and team 4. So I think at the beginning is when you're signing someone up and that's why what I alluded to earlier is to ask people who the 10 to 20 best people we can talk to about the product within the first 7 days. And that's going to allow them to start building their customer base, because obviously that includes their own order as well. So that's the first step. Once you've done that, it can be overwhelming for someone to think, I need to sign up. I need to find 4 people. Who are the 4 people I can sign up? It's nice to first start off with 2 people. And that's why I also said, you know, who the 10 or 20 people you think, or even the 10 people you think might be open to looking at the business, or, you know, and then sharing with those people. And then once you have those 2 people started, you're obviously just duplicating the process. And then eventually you've got a 3rd and a 4th person that you're starting. So, but for me, if you look at the compensation plan, it should be get your cloud to 500, or your PPV to 500. Next step is register 2 people and help them and duplicate that. So there's only 3 people in the structure, and you can't teach someone to do what you haven't done either. So it's very important that if you've got your 500 PV, then you're going to teach 2 people to do the same thing. But remember, the 2 people you sign up might not be the 2 people that are going to do the 500 points, because to give you an example, so Gabby, who's the lead I'm working with now, she's personally signed up 15 people into Manatech in the last sort of 3 months. She's obviously brand new, so she's still working her warm market. But it took her 2 months to get to team 2, and she'll only reach team 4 now after doing this for 3 months. So definitely with her, she signed up a lot of people, but some people are still struggling to get to even 150 PV. So that's why you have to realize you can't just sign up 2 people thinking both of them are going to do the 500 points. Give yourself enough opportunity to sign up lots of people and then work with the people that get to 500 points. So, because if someone can't get to 500 points, it's going to be very difficult for them to become a platinum presidential, or even to become a presidential. So give yourself enough scope to not just register the 2. Yes, register the 2 people, work with them, help them, be there, support them. But carry on talking to new people, because it might be person 5 or 6. And, just in closing, and I've always shared this with you know, I in fact shared this the last time I was in Australia. But over the last 10 years, I've personally signed up 250 people into Manatech, personally that I've enrolled into Manatech. Of all those people, it's almost 80% of those people are not around anymore. They're not even ordering the products. So what happened to them? So, you know, you might ask, well, I mean, that's obviously not a good statistic, but if you think about it is that 20% of them did something. And if I look at my entire group, my 500,000 PV, all of that was built probably with 3 or 4 people in my organization. So you've got to realize you can't just sign up 1 person or 2 people. You've got to be willing to at least make the decision, because it's really all about a decision, to in 1 year to give yourself some sort of momentum is to sign up between 20 and 40 people. The reason why I'm saying this is because I've got qualifying probably around 20 presidentials in my group. But I've probably had about 30 presidentials that have broken in the last 10 years. And what I did is I spoke to all of them and I asked them, how many people did you sign up to go presidential? And, you know, none of them said, I just signed up 4 people or 10 people. Because in network marketing, very often we're saying to people, oh, no, you just have to, you sign up 4 people and you help them sign up 4 people and they sign up 4, then you're presidential. No, you've got to be willing and prepared to say to yourself, okay, well, it's simply about figuring out what I want to do. I want to become a presidential. Okay. So what do I need to do to become presidential? Well, it might be important for you to figure out, okay, well, how in a very short space of time can I get 20 to 40 new business partners on board? Because by doing that, I'm going to give myself enough potential to find the 3 or 4 people I can work with. I mean, my biggest organization that I have, you know, I probably signed into that organization, probably 17 people until I sign up someone who was I almost said he was a gynecologist. Oh man, I've gone blank now, but I've gone blank. Sorry everyone. I've been up for a while, but anyways, I signed up a guy who went to school with my wife, and he led me to the lady that led me to my biggest organization. So very often what happens is that some people are going to be doors, and that's why you have to give yourself enough opportunity to have the people that are going to be the doors onto the next people, because the people that build it the biggest are not going to be necessarily the people you know personally. It's going to be people that you bring on board who are going to bring, Sharon, he was an optometrist.
That's not quite the same as a gynecologist.
Yeah.
Wrong end.
I feel it wakes everyone up. So, yeah, I mean, and you know, so some people are doors. So I want to encourage you, what's the best thing that you can do right now if you want to have an incredible 2020 is to figure out what do you really want from this? What are you willing to give up? And then just to be consistent, you know, and say to yourself, well, if I want to register 20 to 40 new business partners in 2020, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm probably going to have a list of at least between 200 and 400 people I'm going to speak to. Well, if most of us have got between 200 and 400 people on Facebook. So, I mean, there's enough people to just talk to on Facebook, but it's going to be a lot harder when you're doing it on Facebook compared to talking to people you know personally. But it doesn't really matter how you do it. It's just having the intention, setting your intentions to go out there and attracting the right people into your life. And that surely can only happen if you are in a good space. I mean, for lack of a better word, I've always felt if I'm in a good space, like if I'm mentally in a good space, emotionally in a good space, it's just easier for me to get the right people on board. If I'm in gratitude and in living in joy and appreciation and being grateful, like for some other reason, it's much easier to manifest things in your life, because that's how the world works. You know, you get more of what you are. So yeah.
Quickly, before I know we have to run, but how do you help people if they come up against a negative bias towards our business model in network marketing?
Well, the one thing you can do is educate someone in the process, but it's probably going to be a lot easier just to move on, because the reason why people quit is because someone said something to them. The only reason why someone quits the Manatech business is because someone said something to them, and enough people said that to them that they give up. So So for me, what I always did, and I still do this today, I hate rejection. I don't like people saying no. I don't like people not getting back to me. But I've always used that as, as motivation and I don't want to. And it almost comes across like from a point of ego. But Frank Sinatra said the best form of revenge is massive success. So for me in the beginning, like when I signed up with Manatech, everyone said to me, it's not going to work. It's a scam, pyramid scheme. You can lose your money. You're going to go to jail, like all this rubbish. And I think I just use that as motivation to say, listen, it doesn't matter what you say. I know what I know. Because, Sharon, here's the reality. You can only be right there's only one truth, okay? So it doesn't matter what someone says about the business model or whether someone says it's a scam or not. There's one person's right and one person's wrong, and I know that I'm right. So it doesn't matter what anyone else says. It's not even worthwhile arguing about it. Those people rather just move on, because the reason why a lot of us lose faith is because we're trying to motivate those people to get on board. You don't want to work with those people. If people don't see it, then that's fine. Just move on and look for people that are excited, that want to change their life. Because sometimes what I've experienced is sometimes people have to be humbled before they're open to look at this opportunity. And I see that all the time. I see, you almost have to be on your knees before you're open to look at other opportunities. And that's fine as well. So for me, I think in closing, just make sure that whatever you do is that you don't blow people off and that you always build a relationship with people, because very often what's going to end up happening is people are going to come back if they know you left them better than what you found them. So always be building people up, calm situations down. And if someone doesn't get involved in your business model now, make sure that if they ever did get involved, or if ever someone spoke to them about network marketing or needed the product, that they'd refer that person to you, because you didn't blow them off and you treated them with respect. And I've experienced that over the last few years, is how many people have referred people to me because I've always maintained the relationship. In fact, I know I'm going over time now, but just in closing, I've personally been trying to sign up my physiotherapist for more than 10 years. And about randomly, and I'll share more about the story a little bit later because it's quite a powerful story, but he randomly contacted me for 2 months ago, just out of the blue. I didn't even try and sign him up. He just contacted me and said, listen, can you sign me up with Manatech? I want to get started. And I didn't even try and prospect him. I didn't even say to him, just look at the product. In fact, I wasn't even speaking to him. But why? Something in his life has changed. And that's what we've got to realize, is that it's not always where you're at. It's sometimes where they're at. And if we're different phases and different stages, we're not going to meet each other at the same level. So just maintain the relationship with people. And when the timing's right for them, they will get on board. And if they don't get on board, I'm sure that they'll refer people to you if you lead them and leave them with respect and dignity.
Perfect. In the next 5-10 years, JP, for people committing, where do you see Manatech going?
Where do I see Manatech going?
Where are you going with Manatech?
I can't, to be honest with you, I can't control where Manatech's going to go. In fact, I can only control what I'm going to do. And I think very often people we get so thinking, oh, what's Manatech doing, or what's happening with the share price, or I can't control, I can't control those things, but I can control what I'm going to do. And I can control, the network that I'm building. But for me, the next 10 years, I think for me, at least, the first 10 years, I've really driven the business hard. I feel for me, for the next 10 years, I probably want to have one more really, really strong run in 2020 where I really I can work hard. But I also want to, for the next 10 years, also just enjoy the journey. It's been, it's almost like I've been chasing for the last 10 years. And, my kids are, my son is 4, my daughter's 2, turning 2 next year. I also can't be away from home like I have been. And my wife said to me the other day that my son's teacher from school, he's like phoned her and just said like this. She really thinks it's quite emotionally quite overwhelming on me being away from home all the time. So I think for me, it's important that maybe for the next 10 years, maybe from the year 2020 to the year 2030, that I maybe just actually enjoy the fruits of my labor for the last 10 years. And because I don't want to you know, we talk about freedom but because I've been so motivated and just so inspired to go out there and make a massive impact, I also don't want to reach for the stars and then, you know, lose what's really important in life, you know, and that's family, it's friends, it's, you know, it's, you know, being in the moment, you know, being present. So,
and thank God for our business that you have that choice.
Yeah. And thank God for things like Zoom, because you know, this is such an amazing platform that gives all of us the opportunity to be able to do one call a week on a Tuesday evening where you can speak to 1,000 people in one go, where you don't have to be doing home meetings and conference calls and, you know, all day long. So I think it's just going to get more exciting, but I you know, for me, I love Manatech. This company is just, I love the heart of the company, but people come and go, you know, it's yeah, it's unfortunately, you just got to figure out what you want from it, you know, but I think Manatech, here's the one thing I'll leave you with, is that there's so many fashions and fads and things that come and go, but I just know this one thing, and this is what I know. I know that the National Academy of Sciences has said that glycans are needed for every single function of the human body. So I know for a fact that glyconutrients, that ambrotoes is not going to go out of fashion. Our bodies are not going to change. We're going to need these products more in 10 years, in 20 years time than we need today. So that's not going to be a fad or you know, something that's around now, but not around in a year's time. It's going to be around forever. So there's going to be a need for the technology we have forever. So unless they come, yeah, I mean, so I'm excited about that. You know, I'm excited about what the products are doing for people and the opportunity that they give us to go out there and change people's lives. You know, so yeah, but it's not a fashion statement, Manatech. It's something that's going to be around for the next 100 years. You know.
JP, you're amazing. There's so much gratitude for you in the chat. We'll see you in a couple hours.
Awesome.
I'm going to be a bit late because I'm driving.
Yeah,
but,
I still need to shower as well. I'll leave this with you. I still need to get my shirt ironed,
okay.
and I asked Chris Simons if he'll iron my shirt for me because
we'll check in and see if he's done that.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
See you later.
All the best.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.